Hey, what's up everyone, it's Martin for Athava. Today we talk about music production. I will present my workflow template on FL Studio and main processes I use for music production. Here's first my channel rack with all instances of Kontakt and MIDI inputs by section. Basically, Kontakt is a sample player with libraries of instruments. You have two possible architectures: library installed with nice looking frame and menu, or direct files into your Windows directories, no installation needed. More tricky to find instruments and load them. Let's see first libraries installed. You organize the one you're using the most on the top and also by category. You can select and load instruments from there. Second one, I go in files, search in directory and same. You can save an instrument with your configuration as a preset Kontakt file. You're also able to do custom multi-instruments and save the template as a multi. I tried ensemble and whole complete orchestra for violins, woods, brass and etc. By this way, I can quickly load bunch of instruments with my custom settings and articulations. Just create your own. For MIDI pattern input, I use BRSO Articulate. Each instance has a MIDI number and port. Those inputs are linked to the master Kontakt player to each input and output instrument related. The goal is to have one Kontakt instance and map all MIDI inputs to instruments loaded in Kontakt. Input by the piano roll and output for the mixer. We saw in Kontakt each output is linked to a master track. To do that, it's in the channel setting processing and Kontakt outputs. But why it's called Articulate? That's the main point. In orchestral music, you have different articulations for the playable instruments: legato, staccato, marcato, rips, trills. This is the way of playing, the technique, the movement of the player. Every sound is based on the articulation. So to switch articulation, most libraries use key switching. If I play C0, I select a special articulation. By this way, I can make variation, new technique with the same instrument. Just load different samples of the same library. And thanks to BRSO, you can link each articulation to a key switch note. If I want a staccato, I select by color and it will automatically switch by virtual key switching. You have also module MIDI CC for expression and dynamics. What a nice tool. For drum kit samples, I have a lot of options for different styles and from different qualities. Here's a quick tip to search and replace a sample easily. You just select your sample and click on the wheel mouse to replace it. Good trick to scroll and find the perfect sound. So everything is saved on my hard disk, same for Kontakt content. Check the speed of lecture to load libraries faster. In fact, with HDD hard drive, it's literally impossible to have an executable workflow because it's too long to load an instrument. For my laptop, I use a Crucial X9 4TB connected by Thunderbolt. It's very small and light for €240. Speed is up to 1 GB per second, but in fact, I guess it's 100 MOS per second because I'm limited by a version of my ports and desktop protocols. I organize my playlist by section with colors, but most of the time I keep the main pattern with all instruments inside. I prefer work with one big pattern rather than split by instrument. Otherwise, it's too much annoying to find the musical context of the partition with too many instruments. You're scrolling in multiple patterns and it's hard to link notes between sections. So the playlist is already organized in case I want to go deeply in the structure and sections. T for markers, always so cool. Even if you want to take notes during your composition in piano roll, very useful. So related to the channel rack, every entry instrument has its output in the mixer. Every track is linked to a section bus. Most of the time I do a master reverb send, easier to control and mix. Always have an EQ on master or even on each bass while working on each section separately during mixing. To conclude, here's my composition process. Generally, I start with a chord progression, then find the melody, and finally do the orchestration and structure. When I'm practicing piano and I have an idea, I save the sketch to work on it later. I use different versions of the FL Studio project file when I start a new session. I keep an history backup if I want to go to the older versions. When I finish the composition step, I export all stems into a new mixing project. And same with basses for mastering. So here's an example of composition. It's not on the template format because this project is from my old computer, but you get the idea. It's a Linkin Park Evanescence experimental track called Limits. Idea of the song is to push higher the guitar, universe, story and emotion. I leave you with this demo and see you soon, take care.